All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And you know why I say podcasts? Because I post several different places, but the best place to enjoy this content is if you go to the blog, the free blog, right? And the blog is parked at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. But that's a lot to remember or to type in. So, wherever you are engaging with this content, look for a prompt of more info, intro, description, something of that nature. And then another box will open that will have a link directly to the blog. And you don't have to put your email in, and I'm not selling anything. All right. So, today it is currently, this is probably going to post. I'm going to try to hurry up and get this done. So today is September 10th, Wednesday, and yeah, it'll cover the news for today, which there wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, there's always a lot of news, but certain things um, I don't post on. I try to stick with money, politics that deal with money, little special issues, right? Like what we're going to get into today. And yeah, but it's always about Iraq, mostly about Iraqi news and Iraqi dinar news, right? So if you're coming here looking for something else, welcome, but you're probably going to be bored because that's what I talk about. All right. So, and obviously there was a tragedy here in our country. But I don't. This strictly here for dinar stuff, right? All the other stuff you can get elsewhere because there's people who feel one way, people who feel another way, and right? So I don't get into that. There's other places for that. Here, you are my FX buddies, and we talk about currencies, right? All right, so let's get into it. But at the end, after I've done all of this, I do have a little something to say. All right. This is the first article. This is like someone finally came out and told the truth, right? Iraq's financial reality, bankruptcy, delayed pensions, and a fragile future. So it says retirees are the first victims. And here's the actual title. In numbers, Iraq's treasury is empty, and bankruptcy is no longer a possibility. It has become a reality. Tighten your seatbelts. That's what they say. And look at this picture. Isn't this a great picture? For those who are just listening, it's a oil, what used to be an oil tower, right? They don't look like that anymore. So maybe when they first find oil, they would stick that thing down there and then the oil would spout out. Well, instead of oil, they have money spouting out, right? And that is the I in Iraq. And then they have the letters RAQ, and they're crumbling. They're they're deteriorating, much like this situation in Iraq, maybe, right? Because on one hand, you have people saying, oh no, everything's fine, just like they do here, right? But guess what? Jamie Dimon, he came out today and said the economy's weakening. Okay, he didn't say it was weak. He said it was weakening. And I think he runs the world, right? But I was surprised to find out Ray Dalio was also called to the White House to get, I don't know if the president was there, but definitely like financial people in the administration were there. And he had their ear for like 2.5 hours. So, yeah. But anyway, so just a little bit of this article. Talk of a financial crisis in Iraq is no longer just a theoretical prediction or warning. It has become a lived reality with its most minute daily details. The state, which used to cover its obligations through oil revenues, now finds itself completely exposed to its people. A nearly empty treasury, revenues melting away into salaries, and government agencies unable to pay dues on time. This reality means that Iraq is not only on the brink of bankruptcy, but is also experiencing its direct symptoms, from the long lines of retirees waiting hours for their pensions to a general sense of anxiety and disappointment after oil revenues, with all their enormity, became a mere tool for sustaining consumption rather than a lever for development or a bulwark of financial stability. Geez Louise, how many times in my life have I said bulwark? I don't even know. But anyway, so yeah, so it's a pretty good article, easy to read. It's, even with my reading comprehension issues. So, clearly this is one person's view. This is, matter of fact, it's an Iraqi politician, and I think also there's an economist. But if you read the rest of the article, it identifies them. But Hamid al-Sayed, this is his thoughts, and he's an Iraqi politician, and he said looking at all the numbers and everything, it prompted him to issue an explicit warning. The treasury is empty. Buckle up. Bankruptcy is coming. And maybe it is made to look like that, because when you reset something, what do? You take it down to zero, right? So I'm not going to stress over it, and I don't want you to either, but I know so many people are hanging on and they need this so desperately, and I don't want you to be in that position, because none of this is in our control, and things were looking good. Another thing, Sudani went to NATO, and he had a really good experience there, and he had a really good experience at Oman. And then what happens? The thing in Doha, right? And so with that happening, the negotiations with Ham, and then there's two letters after that's over. They're like, forget it. That what you did was dirty, and nope, we're not talking to you anymore. Then the other thing with Putin and Zoolander, but I'm saying that because I don't want to say his real name, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That's escalating. So yeah, and then there's one other thing. What's the other thing? Doha. Oh, and then Ice Cream Land is like, there's some people inside of Baghdad. I'd like to get at. Can I get at them? But I've heard they got a big fat no for that. So hopefully that's the case. I mean, there's militias everywhere. I mean, even here in America, we have some, because that's part of a society, right? But anyway, let's see. So I had this here. Oh yeah. So according to experts, breaking out of this cycle requires radical approaches that begin with reducing current expenditures by reforming the salaries and subsidies portfolio and blah, 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 right? Using the income better. How about raising the rate and passing those laws to allow business to come in? I think that would help also, right? But anyway, so yeah, if you want to read that, I just basically, that's the Star article because it's so different, and I really love that picture. which I know this is going to be another one that's not going to get a lot of views, or I don't know if the algorithm may have changed. So please help your girl out and hit the thumbs up. So now it's been all day. This is how the day started, for those of you who don't know. Is Washington's refusal to grant Sudani a visa a political message or a diplomatic slap in the face? So the UN General Assembly meetings are happening in New York, and Sudani should be here with a delegation, and he's not. There's no evidence that the visas for him and his delegation had even been printed out or whatever, whatever, if they're printed out or put in the system or whatever, right? I'm not sure how they do it now. But so it's been all day and there's nothing refuting it. No articles out saying that they've been granted. And yeah, so I don't think Iraq is going to be represented there, unless what they might do, they might bring in Kurdistan and the foreign minister, what's his name? Fawad Hussein. So this is, and like I put, if this is true, but it seems to be true, then there's definitely a problem between our administration and Sudani, right? So that's, it is what it is. Oh boy, look at all that space. Oh, look, because I have the same article there twice. Oh well, I'll delete that though. But other than that, I think I'm pretty good today. So there's a person, Oserji, reveals a preliminary agreement with the center to export the region's oil. But don't be fooled, because, well, I don't know why this is way out of line. There is an agreement, but now it's basically down to the revenue. See here, it says the issue of non-oil revenues, as the disagreement centers on the volume of these revenues, their classification, and the mechanisms for delivering them to the federal government. Okay, so now that's interesting, right? There's a little bit more. You can read that. Here's another one. Oil isn't the only thing in the picture. Kurdistan is approaching new sources of income. So right there, it tells you Baghdad is like, hey, you're getting all this new money. We want some. And if I'm Kurdistan, I'm like, no, go make your own money, right? So it's non-oil revenue, right? So they made a proposal. I didn't even put it here because it's the proposal, right? It could be not accepted, so why even waste time reading it? That's my point of view. That's my point of view, because then if it does get accepted, they'll print it in the paper again, so the citizens can read it anyway, right? So here's another article about the Iraqi Council of Ministers, so that is the federal one, that's Sudani, right? Refers Kurdistan region's domestic revenue file to state council. So here they're saying the revenue file. So one thing that's good about this, it appears the oil is actually settled, right? That's what I think. So again, I'm not really bothered by this. It's another hiccup. How long will it take to get resolved? I don't know, because I don't think this is in the Constitution. I don't think they've had attorneys on the TV talking about it yet either, which is another indication there's probably nothing in the Constitution about it. So, yeah. So if you didn't hear yesterday's episode, and why didn't you? Okay, well, don't worry, because after this one ends, there'll be a square that'll pop up, and you just click on it, and you can watch yesterday's episode. But anyway, so yeah, right here. they're going to go to Council of State for resolution. If whatever they decide, if the Kurds don't like that, then they can make it a federal court. They can take the issue to federal court. So we'll see. So they reached out to Miles B. Higgins III, Epicor, which it's spelled different ways, right? Anyway, we will resume oil exports on condition. And what's the condition? You got it. Guarantees. The companies are seeking guarantees to pay their financial entitlements and compensate their debts, which amount to about $1 billion. $1 billion. So he's the spokesman. He talked to the news. And he's like, they said February. At the end of February, they had an agreement. But oil has not yet resumed. So then they give a little history. Okay, so this is like a little feel-good story. The book fair, which I know, you're like, who cares about a book fair? Well, they do. Iraq does. It's international. They had a huge ceremony. Sudani gives a speech. And then this part is the real estate part. But you see there, he's being interviewed. He's pointing out all his little stuff in his little booklet. So, yeah. And then there she is interviewing. I don't know what he sells, but look, there's the QR codes. Look at that, boy. Scan to discover our products in English and Arabic, and they got an 800 number. Oh, look, and see her cell phone? I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's not her phone. That's the image in the, look at that. Oh, they had, speaking of that, today, what I wish I would have got it recorded, they had young people go to, mostly females actually, go out to like a senior place. It seemed like a senior place because they have some kind of games. I don't know. I know they have games, different than ours. And they were showing them how to use their cell phones. So look at, they really are reaching out. And then, so they had like some people, they went and disturbed them at their games, but then they had other little tables with, they had laptops, and there were people there that seemed a little more eager to want to learn. So yeah, so they're really trying to get, all the age groups, involved in the digital system, which they said that's what they needed to do, right? Financial inclusion. So here's some, they had construction, building, infrastructure. Yeah, so there's that. You can read that if you like. Here's my one commercial. If you'd like to support my FX buddies, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Anyway, when the blog is live, buy me a coffee link will be a live link. And that's another way you can email me through there. But you have to, give $3 and send an email and say, hey, can you reach out to me? I want to talk to you. I forget who said they wanted to. But anyway, all right. And then Cash App is always live, and it's Tish Wash. All right, big or small, I appreciate it all. And thank you in advance for your generosity. Ding. All right. So we're almost done. So I thought this was very interesting. The Shiites, right? And I don't know how recent of a picture this is. Sudani is not in this picture. Oh, yes, he is. Sudani's here. So this is Sudani. This is a body. This is... All I can think is I don't like this man. What is his name? It'll come to me. This is Amiri. I don't know this guy, but he's on TV a lot. He's I think this guy is for Iraq more than for Iran. This is Khazali. I don't trust him one bit. This is Maliki. This is the Deputy House Speaker. I can't tell who that is because their backs are to me. Hakim. That's his name. Something Hakim. But he was just in Iran. Okay, so now he's back. But it looks like they're deciding they're going to cooperate with the U.S. administration and the elections. And wouldn't that be funny? Clearly, they can see, okay, if there's an issue between the U.S. administration and Sudani, which it clearly seems there is, right? Then they know. And they're like, hey, maybe we should cooperate. Maybe one of our guys will get in, right? But yeah, so they had a meeting and they discussed cooperating with U.S. admin and the elections. So we'll see. But like I said, I don't know if that's a recent picture or a standard one that they pop in there. So yeah, they discussed the recent results of the Prime Minister Sudani, right, visit to Oman and Iraq's upcoming tasks. They talked about water, which, they have to. They talked about the Kurdistan region. Yeah, so pretty deep meeting and just a handful of people, right? Yeah, so, and that's how the world works. If you don't see that now, if you've been following, well, especially the articles, right? If you've been following the articles and my interpretation of, which, could be wrong. No. But I've been doing this for a long time. So, you have to see. And if you read or listened, I think you can listen on YouTube. There's The Creature from Jekyll Island. Yeah. And Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Those two books, if you have not read them, they will open your eyes to the way the world, at least the Western world, really works. And then there's a series. What is her name? Zoe Saldana, I think. Lioness. I think it's called Lioness or something like that. You should watch that. From what I've heard, that's pretty real also. Yeah. And there's 2 seasons. So I don't have Netflix, so it can't be on Netflix. It's got to be one of the other systems, but look that up. Those are good too. All right. The Kurdistan region calls on Baghdad to adopt its proposal. Oh, you know what? Maybe I did post it. I posted it for those who may want to read it. Okay? Because look, it's quite lengthy. And yeah, I didn't want to, but a little voice said you should post that. Someone may want to read it. So there it is. So they are even Talabani, Pavel or Babel, I don't know what his name is because they write it both ways. He met with someone from Italy, and I think the ambassador from Italy, and even told him, they just need to follow the Constitution, right? Yeah. So if you want to read that, you can. And there's just a little bit more. Yeah. So they had this meeting. What is it? Welcome to the opening ceremony of Babylon Company. And there's some writing there that I can't see. Or maybe it's a reflection. I don't know. But this is a Chinese company. In a move that reflects Chinese companies' growing focus on investing in the global oil and gas sector, Zipco Petroleum Engineering, a Chinese oil industry giant, has opened its regional branch in Babylon in Basra. So there's more Chinese expansion. Okay, and then this is another little thing. They do this thing called twinning, where they twin a city in Baghdad. Well, this is Kurdistan, twins itself with a city here in America. So Kurdistan has chose Nashville. And if you'd like to read about that, you can. All right, so that's there at the bottom. Okay, I have one thing to show you. And I'll put a link there. Hopefully it's still there. Yep, it's still there. Okay, so this is the IFC's website. Can I make this larger? Yeah. International Finance Corporation. They're an arm of the World Bank. Does that sound familiar to you? It might, because they're involved in a lot of things. They're under the World Bank, but yeah. So this is their website, and look who's on the front. Financing change, empowering Iraq's entrepreneurs. Yeah. And you see him there. He's working. I guess maybe this seems to be the owner. This seems to be a customer, maybe a worker. And what are they doing? They're looking at a tablet. So, yeah. In the heart of Mosul, where the echoes of conflict still linger, Mohammed Hamid is helping rebuild his community. Right? So then they go, only a laptop, he can still function. And an app, a laptop and an app. He can go mobile. And then here, I didn't watch that video yet because I actually wasn't sure if this would still be on the front page or they would move it. But isn't that interesting? See, Iraq is being used as a model for a lot of things. A lot of these other countries, they want to take digital that are not yet digital. Yeah, they'll say, look, this is how we did it in Iraq. And then same thing here. Some of these things, some of them we already have, obviously, but some of them we don't, and they want to bring them here, especially like the biometrics, right? But anyway, so I will put a link to that, and if you want to go see it and read it, and then maybe or maybe I'll just put that YouTube video. Oops, I'll embed that video on the blog, then that way you could see it. All right, so thank you. Oh, look, there's a rock. That's what it looks like. The parts that have been built up. And then there's getting out to look at the water. You see the river back there? So yeah, if you're on Spotify and you're listening, watch the video and then you could see what we're looking at. Look, there's the CBI building way back there. You see that? All right, I didn't know that was going to come up. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, that's the end. So I just wanted to say, because there's been some very violent incidents that are just plastered everywhere, right? I have been able to shield myself from the guy on the train or whatever that was and the Ukrainian young lady. I haven't seen that. I've been trying to avoid it, and so far I've been lucky. But the thing that happened today in Utah, I didn't think Iraq would have that in its news, and they did. And so yeah, I saw that. But it's, just check on your young people because it's crazy that, I mean, yeah, you have to see it so it can be talked about and it's news, but to play it over and over and over everywhere is not good. So I have boys, they're grown men, but I called and checked on them. Is this bothering you? How do you feel about this? Because we're not made to see that. You know what I mean? And so some people have, like, especially those young people that were there. I hope someone gets them counseling. Um, yeah. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I mean, but we should be checking on our young people anyway. Life is hard. I don't know. I think life is harder for them than it was for us. All the craziness out there. Or maybe I was just lucky and I had a good life. I don't know. But anyway. All right. So thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit the like, thumbs up button on your way out. And then you don't even have to leave. You could hang around and watch yesterday's episode if you missed it. But at any rate, accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. What else? That's it. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you are indulging in this content. And until next time, which will probably be tomorrow.